Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 276. My name is Brando, whether you're listening on iHeartRadio or if you found us through Q104.3.com, however you found us. Another episode you can watch on YouTube on our, as we do many Zoom episodes that has happened during the pandemic. I've been doing more of those because the last time I've had my guest on, Mr. Josh Todd, was December 2019. A few short months. We had no idea what was going to happen in the world, what was going to happen. So I was in a studio in New York City. We were talking on the phone. I believe, what was the war paint? We were talking about war paint. And I mean, here we are. So first of all, thank you for coming back. Good to see you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a crazy year and a half, honestly, to say the least, and I know everybody's has their own challenges that they've been dealing with through the whole quarantine. But you know what? We managed to make an amazing record out of all that craziness, and now it's finally going to be hitting the streets here June 25th. The Hellbound record's got to be one of our best.
I know. I'm excited to hear all of Hellbound and to see you live, because for those of you watching this episode, I've invited an AFD Show Listener back on the program. Last time Erik from Iowa was on was when we interviewed Ginger Wildheart, and that was a good time. But you just got you got to experience some new Buckcherry live, right? Erik, can you tell us about that?
Hey, Brandon. Hey, Josh. Yeah, I just saw you. Hey, what up, man? Saw you a couple of weeks ago down here at the Valet. It was such a great show.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, always a great show. I think I've seen you guys probably close to 20 times, and then also got to see you during the pandemic when you did that socially distanced show up there in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, those were tough, for us, just because we hadn't been in our rhythm, and then not to have everybody like smashed in there, sweaty and ready for a BC show. It was challenging, but now we're here, we're getting through everything, and the shows are starting to feel like they used to feel.
There have been so many changes, all the adaptions we've had to make in our daily lives. And again, as I alluded to, Josh, last time I spoke to you, I was in a studio in New York. I have a giant board in front of me, but now I'm in my studio, and I have like a air quote studio in my apartment in Queens. There may be some cats that walk behind me or step on buttons, so I will give you a heads up. And doing Zoom. So you know what? I got to ask you, because obviously, and thank you for your time. You've done so many interviews over the years. Do you like these Zoom interviews? Like, do you, as a rock star, you always look good, with tattoos and everything. You always look, you always look rocking, but not everybody wants to be seen all the time. Do you like doing these?
Yeah, I think the older I get, the less I like them, because, I have to look at myself and how much I've aged, and that always bothers me. But I do like the platform to be able to promote, our record and our band and the career. And, so when I get into talking about that, I'm so passionate about it that, I'm really grateful for the platform, so, nothing's ever going to be perfect, so I understand that going into it. But like I said, I'm just grateful that there's a way to get the word out.
Okay, right on. And what makes it great is, like, if you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully the next recommended video is going to be one of your videos that's on. So I got to watch, because it seems, or I got to talk about, because I know there in the first video, So Hot, there was the obvious homage to AC/DC, with the logos, making the B, a lightning bolt C, and everything. And then with the new video that just came out, Hellbound, of course, the title track, it's just like, wow, if you close your eyes, you swear this is going to be like a Bon Scott era AC/DC song. And if I could talk to you, like, what's by design, like the AC/DC influence, because they've influenced everybody, but for you to make it so apparent, and what seems like a love letter almost to AC/DC so far in the music, the new music.
I think we've done that with a lot of songs in the past on Buckcherry Records. We're not like trying to be mysterious on our love for AC/DC. To me, AC/DC is the greatest hard rock band that ever lived, and they're still putting out really great records, and they're just a lot of fun, like when I first heard Back in Black, when I was a teenager, I was just like, man, it was something that like you could dance to and you could rock to, and just really put together well. And simplicity is an art form, and they really have this formula that they have stuck to, and it always works. It's timeless, it's amazing. And I love that. Actually, the song that you're referring to is Hellbound, and it's the title track. And that was one of the last songs we had written. We wrote about 28 songs for a 10-song record. And I kept bitching about it. I kept saying, where's my AC/DC music? Where's my AC/DC track? And finally, they threw me the music to that song. And, I loved it. As soon as I heard the music to the song, I was like, man, I got to hit this out of the park. And I was driving at the time when I heard the music, and I just started kind of reminiscing about where it all began for me, and what was that about. And so I wrote that song about the first show that I did at a house party in Orange County, California. That's what Hellbound's about.
Okay.
Wow.
What can you tell us, I guess, about that house party? Is there anything that stands out, I guess, that we're not going to find out in the lyrics?
I mean, as a young man, I was searching for that passion, what was going to define me and what was I going to be put all my effort into, and that was it. Like I played that show. I remember the first song was Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. That was the first song we opened up with, and it was packed, right? We had gotten a friend's older brother or sister, I can't remember, to we pooled our money together. We bought a keg of beer. We charged $3 at the door. The place was packed. And like I said, Led Zeppelin was the first song. And I just remember a shift in me. Like, that was it. This is all I want to do. It was like Animal House in there. People were drunk and there was fights and it was nuts. It was like a quintessential Buckcherry show, honestly. And
I was about to say that.
Yeah, and that's when I knew, like, that's what the song is about. We tore the place up, but we didn't tear it down. Everybody got a cut, so we all paid ourselves after, and we tore the house down. And it was an amazing experience. And I was like, this is all I want to do. This is it. This is all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. And I just started working my ass off from that point on.
And look where it's gotten you. Like you're
and
still
look where
doing
it's gotten me.
I mean,
9 records, 22 years. I'm very grateful.
And what I think, because I remember when I first started in radio, which I can't believe, it's got to be like 15, 20 years at this point, when you guys, it wasn't when you first broke, but it was when you really hit the mainstream with 15, and I really just fell in love. It was when I was doing radio in Cape Cod, and I saw you guys in that area, and just to see where you are now, and I think why you last, you've been able to last and be successful is for the same reasons AC/DC, very anthemic songs, rock anthems, which don't seem to exist anymore. Like, we can always get behind an anthem, that
they don't exist. And I'm so glad you brought that up. They don't exist. They haven't existed for a decade, over a decade. And that's why I think the rock genre is where it's at. I mean, it's tragic, and like you're saying, that's what I came up on. Like, before I got to hard rock music, my whole rock foundation was independent punk rock records. I grew up in Southern California. I listened to bands like 7 Seconds and Black Flag and the Toy Dolls and GBH and all those bands. And so all these bands, in order to get your attention, they weren't on major labels. They had to write anthemy rock songs that got your attention. I can tell you what some of those songs were, like Nelly the Elephant and Six Pack by Black Flag and songs like that. I mean, it was like these are songs that we can remember. We would go to those shows, little Fender's Ballroom in Long Beach, California, and I just remember going to those shows, and everybody was chanting the choruses of every song, and that's how those guys built their followings. And so that was what I was kind of conditioned to do, and then segueing into like AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and those type of records, you know, what I got into later in the Cult, and they all had anthemic rock choruses as well. So I think that was always going to be the catalyst of a Buckcherry record, you know, and that's what we built our whole reputation on, our live shows and everything.
And same thing with guitar solos. I was happy to see guitar solos come back. And with that, can you tell us, because he's a former guest of the show, Billy Rowe from Jet Boy. I love that he's in Buckcherry now, because he is just a seasoned veteran. He's been around, he's seen it all, he's done it all. Can you tell me how he joined the band?
Yeah, Stevie was friendly with him and knew him and kept talking him up to me. I didn't know, I'd never met him, and so he was kind of vouching for him, and I'm like, great. And then, you know, the stars aligned, and we needed somebody, and he was just the first guy. And I said, you know what, let's just go to breakfast, you know? And so we went to breakfast, me, Stevie, and Billy, and had a sit down. And I just wanted to kind of get to know him as a person, a human being, because that's really, at the end of the day, what matters the most when you're out on the road and you're in the bus for months and months and months, and you're in close quarters. You want to really like the person you're next to. And we really liked him. He's a very easygoing guy. We come from the same generation. We like the same type of things. And he liked the band for all the right reasons. And it was a good fit, you know, and then, you know, he can play. He's a great player, you know, and so that was it. It didn't take too much. And we just started hunkering down and giving him all the songs we have. He had a lot of work to do, because we have a lot of songs, and he has fit in really nice. We've done a few shows now. I want to say we've done probably around 20 some odd shows with him, and he's settling in very nicely.
Very cool. Very cool. And to go back to the anthem, because it's a number that we're obviously celebrating the album release that's coming out June 25th, but you had some more anniversaries that just happened. An anthem that, I guess, did you think Crazy Bitch would eventually be like certified quadruple platinum? It just reached, right? I mean, that was the anthem. So that's an anthem. Sorry, I believe just reached certified double platinum for overall sales. I mean, does that blow you away, or you're like, you know what, I wrote a really good song, it's good for it's nice to see it, you know, recognized? Like, how do you look at that?
No, it blows me away, but I mean, that's you know, you labor over songwriting, and I can't even tell you how many shitty songs I have written to get there, you know. So yeah, when that happens, it's like icing on the cake. I mean, that's what you dream about, you know. Before that, you know, we had a hit single with Lit Up and For the Movies, and so, you know, we had that moment way back then on the first record, so to have it again at even a higher level was like, oh man, this is incredible, you know. And very surprising with Crazy Bitch, because that was a song we didn't really see coming, you know. So to have it like take on a life of its own after all these years is pretty amazing.
Is there?
Hey, Josh.
Go ahead,
Josh. Hey, Josh. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Crazy Bitch was on 15? Didn't that come out in Japan before we got it over here?
If it did, it was only like maybe a week before or something. You know, sometimes they release records a little earlier over there. But yeah, the story behind that is nobody would sign that record in the United States, so we got a small record deal in Japan, and that's how we paid for the recording of that record, you know. And then, you know, the rest is history. You know, our manager at that point in time started an independent label called 11-7 just to put out the 15 record, and it's just really a crazy, amazing comeback story, you know. Super grateful.
Wow. I mean, and now, because this is your first record with a new label now? Like, who are you with now?
Round Hill Music in the United States, Erik Records in Europe, and we're doing Sony over there in Japan.
Okay. And how did, because we've had Damon Johnson in the show before, like, how did that come about? Like, who you're going out on tour with, you know, Damon Johnson and Rubicon and Scarlet Rebel. So how does putting that group together? Because I mean, the concerts are back, so that's got to be kind of like a difficult challenge because everyone's chomping at the bit to go on the road, and you got to like, okay, come with us, guys. So how does that decision made?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into decisions on packaging. Sometimes it's relationships, really, and what's going to be a good fit. And all those bands you mentioned were a really good fit for us and for a lot of different reasons. And it's something that we talk to our team about, to always cultivate a package that's going to be a good bang for your buck. That's what we want. And so that's the reason why it all works.
Cool. Before we get back to the new record, obviously, if you can't tell by my background and the name of the podcast and Erik's shirt, we have a 6 degrees of GNR bacon the theme. And last time I know I asked you this question, I guess we did an interview talk about Warpaint and new album, but Josh, you're a professional. You see the clickbait articles that will just take the tiniest little sentence that you say and make it something else. So we talked about like your time at the beginning with the early stages of Velvet Revolver. So then all of a sudden, Ultimate Classic Rock is doing it, Blabbermouth. And I remember in the interview, you're like, I've told this story before, So how does that, is that something that you've also come to expect, I guess, being a veteran, being around that, no matter how thorough you are and with your responses, what certain sites, because I try to, as an interviewer, I do my best to put you in the best light. I have no control over these online magazines. So I'm just curious of, I hope nothing negative comes out of this one. That's all I can say. So I apologize in advance if it does.
Right. I honestly don't even know what you're referring to. I don't pay attention to. Okay. I don't read press. I don't like look at comments. I just stay away from all that because if you're seeking to be validated, then you're only going to want positive stuff. And eventually you're going to read something negative. It's going to piss you off. And none of it means anything at the end of the day. Bad press is good press. Any press is press. I mean, that's what gets people to go check out your music, and then they can make their own decision on if they want to become a fan or not. That's really it. So okay, that's the long and the short of it for me.
I think honestly the best response, because if it wasn't for this job and me having to be aware of what's going on, I'm tired of social media. And you're right, if you're looking for validation, and it's just, I just know, doing this interview, doing this podcast, and especially with the GNR people, if you make any hint of anything clickbaity, new music, or this person said something maybe critical of that person, and it's like same thing with the news. It's not just in rock and roll. So I'm glad you have no idea what I'm talking about. It was nothing too negative, but I'm like, if Slash and Josh were friends, I'm like, oh no, are these articles gonna make it seem like Josh is bitter about Velvet Revolver thing? So I wanted to apologize for that.
I don't ever think of Velvet Revolver. My experience with the whole GNR camp lasted 1 month, way before Velvet Revolver even happened. And it was such a short period of time in my life. I don't even think about it. So when people make a big deal out of this, when you were with the GNR camp and what was that all about? It was like, yeah, we got in a room. We tried to be a band for a second. It was a lot of fun. It was really great musicians. We had a good time. We started writing a few songs. Maybe we wrote 3 songs. I can't even remember how many. I have to write a lot of songs to get into a rhythm with any kind of chemistry, band chemistry. It takes a while, and never spent any time really cultivating anything. And that was it. And then we just went our separate ways. I don't ever think about it anymore, And it obviously worked out for Velvet Revolver. They had some success with their little run, and now the GNR boys are back together, and God bless them. Everybody's doing their thing.
It was a longer tenure, and another answer. You've given amazing answers. That's why I love talking to you, Josh, and I've been a fan of yours for so long. A longer tenure, and going back to just pairing of bands when you go to go on tour. Any fun experiences of when you did tour with Axl and it was DJ Ashbro? I know you had worked with him. And maybe any fun tour experiences during that time?
I have always really loved Axl as a singer, as a frontman. Just really think he's a really talented guy, and never got to meet him. Right. I've been around places where he was close by and I didn't know about it, and never got to meet him. So yeah, so cut to, we did a handful of shows with them, and still, you know, he's kind of a mysterious guy. You know, he would always go on, never on scheduled time, and like at that point, we would always be in the bus, maybe traveling to the next location because we'd already left, you know, and so we never got an opportunity to link up. So cut to, we do a show. I think it was one of the last shows we did with GNR, and I'm in the bus, right? We're all in the bus after the show, and our tour manager goes, "Hey, Axl wants to say hello to you guys. He's got something for you. You guys could come in the venue." And I was like, "What?" Yes, you know. So we get all our shit together. We go in the venue, and just the most bizarre experience. We're in the hallway of like some arena. He comes out, he walks towards us. He's got a bag, just a plastic bag, right? Like from Best Buy. And he goes, "How you guys doing? I just want to say, you know, it was nice having you guys out." And he takes his bag out and he hands all of us an iPad. He gives each of us an iPad from Best Buy. And I just want to give you guys a gift and tell you how much we appreciate you having out. And I was just like, "Are you kidding me? This is amazing." I'm like, I was speechless. It was like one of the coolest gestures from one of your heroes, like that it's ever happened. It wasn't that we got an iPad. It was that fucking Axl Rose gave us a fucking iPad, and like, and we took a picture with him, and that was it. He left and walked on stage, and I was just like, man, that was like fucking amazing, you know. So there's been a handful of experiences for me in my rock and roll career where I've met some of my heroes, and it was really a wonderful experience, and that was one of them.
I love it. Axl Winfrey. You get an iPad. You get an iPad. I love it.
So cool. He's such a class act, man. That was amazing.
To tie it back into in the segue back into the record, what did you think of him fronting AC/DC? Because when I listened to Hellbound, the single,
yeah.
you sound like you could do it if need be.
Yeah, I cannot do it unless they tuned way down.
Okay.
It's a very vocally demanding gig. That's why when I saw Axl with his broken leg singing AC/DC, like belting it, I was like, holy shit, man, he's killing it. You can tell like it was like kind of a rock and roll fantasy come true for him. He looked like he was having the time of his life. He fucking killed it. I thought it was the perfect fit, and nobody could do it better.
Do you have a favorite AC/DC song of all time, or is it easier to ask you what's your favorite AC/DC song today? Like, how does that, you know, or a record? What's an easier? I don't know.
Yeah,
can I narrow it down to a song?
Yeah, like I said, my whole foundation was punk rock records. So the first AC/DC record I listened to was Back in Black. So I was like, this is fucking amazing. And then I got into all the Bond records and all that. But so I think Back in Black is the best hard rock record ever written of all time. And so You Shook Me All Night Long was pretty much one of the anthems for me when I was a kid.
And again, keeping with the anthem, and that's what Buckcherry is also about, and why you've had longevity and success. Other than maybe Hellbound and So Hot, so those are the songs that are available now. What other anthems can we expect on this new record? What are you excited for us to hear and to sing live in concert?
Like rock anthems on the record, there's a song called Gun that a lot of people really love. So I think you're going to really like that one. It's kind of got an Aerosmith feel to it. There's a song called 5 4 3 2 1, which is the title track. I mean, not the title track, the first song on the record.
Okay.
Everybody loves that. And then there's a really aggressive song called Here I Come that I think people are going to really love. These are all the rockers. You know, there's lots of different flavors on the record. We got two really great mid-tempo songs, Wasting No More Time and No More Lies. We got an amazing ballad called The Way. People are just going to really love it.
You know what? So let me ask, and Erik, if you have any questions, please, get them out. But I have another listener who just messaged me. So this is from a Back to the Sewers, a fellow Ninja Turtles fan on Instagram. So from the snippets and singles from the new LP, it sounds like it's going to be your most versatile album, the style, vibe, and influence. So is that intentional to have all the, the variety on this Buckcherry record?
Absolutely. I mean, all of the rock records that we love had, a lot of dynamics on the records. They had hard rockers, they had mid tempos, they had ballads, and historically with every Buckcherry record, we've done the same thing. It's not like we haven't done that in the past, but this one just really gels really nice. It is, it's just special. What can I say? I mean, I can't really describe how good it is until you have an opportunity to hear it, but everybody who's heard it feels the same way. And so I hope that continues.
Amazing.
Hey, Josh.
Yep.
Hey, how was that working with Marty and recording that down in Nashville? Was that pretty easy? You and Stevie, was it?
Yeah, it was very easy because we have a history with Marty, and we really respect him. And as a songwriter, producer, he's just he's really talented. So going into it, we're bringing our A game. Like Stevie and I had really been working that songwriting muscle prior to getting in a room with Marty. We had written about 26 songs, and we kept feeding Marty all the demos of all the songs we were writing, and he would put in his 2 cents, and sometimes he would remix a demo that we had done, and we had a lot of fun. So there was a lot of back and forth leading up to getting in a room with him, and we wrote for 1 week in Nashville with him. And in that 1 week, we wrote 6 songs in 5 days, if you can believe that. And there wasn't a bad song in the batch. And 5 of those songs made the record, the Hellbound record. And so it was a lot of fun.
It's awesome.
Right on. Anything else you got for America? I want to make sure I give you the full radio experience while you're here with Josh.
Just looking forward to the record. Heard a bunch of the snippets. I heard that one, The Way, that you guys released today.
Yeah, The Way is amazing.
Yeah.
The Way is an epic. I can't wait for people to have that whole song. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Buckcherry's 9th studio album, Hellbound, comes out June 25th. Josh, thank you so much for your time. I've been a fan. Obviously, we've both been fans for so long. Keep doing what you're doing, holding that rock flag high, because we need it. We definitely need it. So I'm excited for the world to get back to normal, Buckcherry to get back to air quote normal, whatever you want to call Buckcherry's normal. But
yes,
thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks to all the people that have come out to the shows that we just did, and all the shows that are coming up, and all the people that have already pre-ordered the record at buckcherry.com, and you can still do that. And here we are, 4 days out, or what is it? The 21st, 22nd. So 3 days out, and Hellbound drops. So make sure and check it out. And we'll see you guys at the rock show.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
All right.
That was cool, man. That was a lot of fun.
That was great.
Got
a lot of stories about Axl I didn't think we'd get.
iPads?
Yeah.
Who knew?
That's awesome.
That's so, it's so nice, yet so strange.
Yeah.
He's Santa Claus. Here's some gifts. Now I'm going to go back to the North Pole, aka the siege or whatever it is.
Hearing him talk about AC/DC and Axl's time in AC/DC, I was just like, keep talking. These stories are amazing when he gets going.
Right. And he's kind of humble, because I wasn't blowing smoke when I was listening to these tracks. I'm like, yeah, I can hear him doing AC/DC.
For sure.
So it's very cool. I mean, obviously, we're glad that Brian's back in. I mean, even though I want Axl DC to at least give us a live recording, something on tape. I don't know, lightning in a bottle. You had to experience it or not, I guess.
I know. Yeah, he's I've met Josh a few times, and I got to talk to him once, and I think I told you that about being in the Navy, and I talked to him about it, and he was like, "Oh, you were in the Navy?" I said, "Dude, I had all your CDs, man. We used to listen to those things underway." And he was like, "Oh, that's so cool. Were you on an aircraft carrier?" And he was just asking me stories about that, and I was like, "Wow, he really wants to talk to me too." But yeah, he's just a nice guy.
Yeah,
one of the best.
you wouldn't like when you're younger. When I was younger, I didn't think so. I'm like, oh, all tattooed. He seemed like unapproachable, like in the videos. But no, he's like every interview he does, and just talking to him. As long as you want to, talk about new music, and you're not asking him all about, bullshit questions. So and that's why it's so funny. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about with the clickbait, which I'm glad he doesn't. I'm glad he doesn't.
Yeah, I was glad to hear that too, that he didn't even pay attention. That wasn't even on his radar.
Because I told you off the air, Erik, doing these Guns N' Roses interviews and why it's hard, especially to get any current member. And I think I said it with, I had to say it with Adrian Smith of Iron Maiden, that after I interviewed him, like his people asked me to take, I already had done the interview. I would have sounded like an idiot. So that's why I'm being honest about it. Like just to take out him not having a glowing a glowing memory of Axl and that tour in the late 80s. It was nothing even bad, but they asked me to take it out because of what Blabbermouth might do with it. Like, A, it's not a bad story. B, I have no control over it. And C, what you're going to Guns N' Roses podcast. You're going to ask me to take out the only Guns N' Roses question. So I've just become super paranoid. More so, especially again with the Guns N' Roses stuff about just doing the best for my guest, not to get them into any trouble. And I'm like, I was actually, because when I was talking about doing the interview today, and I'm Googling the last time I interviewed Josh, and I see, articles from Blabbermouth and Ultimate Classic Rock and him maybe like Josh doesn't know why Slash wasn't interested, or, however they phrase it. So I'm like, I don't know. Did that piss Slash off? Did that piss Josh? Well, at least Josh had no idea what I was talking about. So I'm cool with him.
No, he didn't. Yeah, didn't even register to him.
Fascinating. It's fascinating the stories that brew up in my brain that don't exist.
Right.
Maybe that's how I relate to Axl. Go ahead.
Oh man, it was about 20 years ago. I had read this Burn magazine. It was probably like 2002, one of those Japanese Burn magazines. It had Axl on the front. The very back page of it was Keith and Josh, and there was an interview with it. And Keith and Josh were asked 20 years ago, how long do you guys plan to keep doing this? And I remember them saying something like, as long as there's an idiot out there that will keep cutting us checks to make these records, we'll keep doing them. And I remember reading that and thinking, man, I hope that's true, because I really do dig this band. And that was before 15 had came out. So, when I asked him about 15, I remember when they got dropped from the, after that second album, and they cut that 15 and it was released in Japan. I wanted to get a hold of that thing so bad before, it was like he said, another year before we even got it here.
I know. I remember when I used to make mix CDs before 15 came out on CD. I had Lit Up, on there. It was just one of the. So I always knew a Buckcherry. Then when I finally got into radio, playing them on the radio, and then you would go out to do, radio appearances. And the big thing is, at least in Cape Cod, were cover bands, and everybody was covering "Crazy Bitch." It's the anthem of the summer. In Cape Cod, it was crazy. So I as much as I'm sure you did not expect me speaking to Josh Todd today after seeing him in concert a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was happy to, once I get a guest on once, I don't know if I'm going to get him on again. So the fact that he came on again and we got to, kind of see him a little bit, which is really cool. It's just another experience, a blessing in disguise that's kind of happened because of the pandemic. People are just weird, like you've become more connected, in an odd way.
Yeah, like when I saw him, they did not stop touring. People were giving them a bunch of crap for playing Sturgis during the middle of the pandemic, and I was reading the comments, and and then they came around and they did that socially distanced show. We all went to it, a bunch of us, and like he said, it was hard. It's hard to see Buckcherry when you're 30 feet away from the stage and you're sitting in a pod with a mask on, but they kept going. I will give them that. They found a way to do it.
And I read another interview he did that he's been wearing masks for a while. Like he would take these long flights and he would always get sick. And he's like, I'm on these flights for like a half a day, in this recycled air. Let me start wearing masks. and he's like, I don't get sick often anymore. So there's something to it. But yeah, if you want to wear a mask, fine. But yeah, he's had practice, but
Right.
you can't see. It's weird to see Buckcherry in that atmosphere, but it was what it was.
It was.
But speaking of concerts, though, so what are you going to this year, Guns N' Roses wise?
We're starting it off. We're going to Fargo. We're going to drive up to see Fargo.
Wow.
And then a week later, like I told you, we're going to fly to LA, see the LA show, and come back. We're going to hit up Milwaukee for Summerfest.
Milwaukee. Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to work that St. Paul date in that I told you about. And then I was able to convince her to go with me to Fort Lauderdale to the 2 shows at the Hard Rock.
Oh, wait. So wow. So you're going to 6? 5, 6?
6. Yeah, I have tickets to 5. I'm trying to nail down that 6th one.
Oh, wow. All right. So
Yeah.
I got some more talking to my fiance to do, because we do have, it's the leftover from my New Jersey date rescheduled. No Smashing Pumpkins, but we get Wolfgang Van Halen.
He'll be great.
He will be. I'm very excited. But I did buy Hershey, Pennsylvania tickets.
Right.
That's going to be cool. That's on a Saturday. We're going to stay the night. We're going to go. And we'll see. I would love to go see more other shows. I was hoping, I've spoken about on the podcast, I wanted to see them in Chicago, but that date changed, so it's just not working out. And we'll see. But she's traveling all summer, including going to Mexico to see Dave Matthews. So I don't know if that's going to work out. With her, maybe I'll have to maybe make some solo trips to some places. We'll see.
There you go. That'd be awesome.
We'll see. I know. It's gonna be fun.
I don't know what we'll get next summer if they're out in Europe. I don't know if we'll get anything else. So and then
it's gonna be interesting once they hit the road, because I've said when they hit the road, and especially when this year ends, and if there's not even a new single, I don't know what. I think might as well just come out and say we're just we're not working on anything. We're just touring. Right. I don't know. It's just it's strange, because you will get bands, Poison. Like, we're not going to make new music. Just say it. Poison still sells tickets. Not GNR level tickets, but I don't think that's deterred by the aspect of hearing new music.
Right.
The prospect of it. So, but regardless, it's going to be fun. I expect you, Erik, to be one of our on-field reporters, to give, send some pictures, and
I'll send you some for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to hear the review on their first night back when you see them there at Hershey. That's going to be the one, to see them hit that stage after 15, 16 months.
I didn't even realize that that's the first show back.
Yeah.
Wow. I hosted Guns N' Roses podcast. I know everything. I didn't even realize that was the first show back. The only thing that stuck out to me, which I'm now even more excited, but was Wolfgang's mom, the actress Valerie Bertinelli.
Oh, right.
She tweeted, "I'll be at that show." So I'm wondering if it's going to be something special, for him during that first show when he's out and about. We'll see.
It'll be something to see for sure.
Yeah. Well, Erik, thank you for doing this again. I want to.
No, thanks for having me always, brother.
Of course, and I'll say this to you. I say this before the air. I tell this to all my listeners when you come on as a co-host. If I'm talking too much, just tell me to shut up and get your questions in, because I want you guys to be involved as much as possible. But you could tell it meant a lot to him that you saw him recently.
Yeah, I know why I'm here. It's not about nobody wants to listen to me. They want to listen to Josh Todd.
I know, same thing. They don't want to listen to me either. They want to listen to Josh. That's what it's about, and that's what Appetite for Distortion is about. It's talking to awesome people like Josh, hearing about new music, new projects, but obviously with the 6 Degrees of GNR Bacon theme. Did not expect to get him to. That's going to be the headline. I don't think about Velvet Revolver.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it negatively. It's just think about all he's done in his life. It's just. It doesn't.
Right. Or it could be Axl Rose gifts Buckcherry iPads. Who knows what it'll be? I'm
hoping a lot of articles come out of this. We'll see.
We got some good info out of him.
I think so.
It's really fun.
And also just looking forward to the new Buckcherry record, because I
can't wait. We
can keep talking about new music that's not Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
One day one day maybe we'll do an appetite for discovery with new Guns
Yeah.
N' Roses. We'll see.
One day it'll be our turn. We'll get some new music.
Oh, I just said, I just want before I die either before I die, new Guns N' Roses music, because I don't want to make it too morbid. This year, new Guns N' Roses music or an Islanders Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
The Islanders just got lost 8-0 yesterday.
I saw that.
So and then GNR doesn't say I don't. I think of it. Maybe I should wish for one of those before I die. Maybe I think that's probably a more appropriate timeline to see the new music from GNR and Islander Stanley Cup. Anyway, now I'm rambling. So
I think we'll get a new song. We'll get a new song this summer. I think so.
I hope so. All right, so that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. If you want to be just like Erik, you want to be a part of the podcast. Erik, he follows on Twitter at the AFD Show. He saw me tweet about Josh Todd and he asked if he can be involved. And I said, yeah, he can be involved. So you could do the same thing, Facebook, Instagram, whenever you see me post, or if perhaps you have a suggestion and you help me book that guest, you can get involved. And thanks to Back to the Sewers on Instagram, you can do that. You can always message me and I can ask your questions straight to the person. That's how it works here on Appetite for Distortion. So when will you see the next episode? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it. I don't know if soon is the word.